It's now 6 o'clock right here on Big Breakfast. Today FM, today's hit music.
Hey, I'm Pauline.
And I'm Alan. Tune in to the Breakfast Show on Today FM with Pauline and I every weekday morning.
From 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
Today FM, today's hit music.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. In this bulletin, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama commends the President for his leadership. Leader of Opposition questions aspects of President's opening address to Parliament. And Justice Paul Madigan will hear sedition-related cases in Lautoka. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has commended the leadership of Ratuepeli Nailatikau as head of state. Bainimarama says Fijians are fortunate to have Ratuepeli as a leader. Akosita Tale has more.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has joined other parliamentarians in honoring and recognizing the work and services of President Ratuepeli Nailatikau. He says Ratuepeli has been a guiding mentor to Fijians, in particular to his role as the Prime Minister.
I've also been grateful to have his non-political voice as a guide, even when he reminded me of things I preferred not to remember. Every Prime Minister needs to hear an authoritative voice of wisdom that remains above the fray. I've heard His Excellency's voice and I have listened.
Bainimarama thanked Ratuepeli for guiding Fiji during times of critical transition when others were not brave enough to do so because it wasn't politically correct to do so at that time.
We thank His Excellency for being a steadfast moral exemplar who has stood for principle and integrity while remaining above politics and self-interest.
Ratuepeli has been acknowledged for being the first head of state in the region to visit 11 Pacific Island countries in 2013 and 2014. During the visits, Ratuepeli has the countries of Fiji's support for the development of Fiji's assistance in recovery from disaster. Bainimarama says it is Ratuepeli's contribution that enabled Fiji to become the first country in the world to offer support to the low-lying countries that are beginning to confront the drastic effects of climate change and the rise in sea levels. Akosita Tale, FBC News.
Opposition leader Rotemu Mukepa has contested various aspects of President Ratuepeli Nailatikau's opening speech to Parliament. She disagrees with him on what passes for democracy and argued her political right to question the election results and the reinforcement of the 2013 Constitution. Maggie Boyle reports.
In your name, Amen.
Responding to the motion to debate the President's address, Opposition leader Rotemu Mukepa pulled no punches.
Why were the terms of reference of the official observer group so restrictive? Why was no local observer group allowed to participate? Why was the process from start to finish controlled by the Minister for Elections, who was also the General Secretary of a participating political party?
Leaving no stone unturned, Rotemu highlighted public debt, employment and empowerment of youth as the incoming workload for Parliament in 2016.
I had 9 weeks in the last session and only 4 weeks next year to debate 24 new laws and review existing legislation. What this basically means, Madam Speaker, is 6 pieces of legislation on average per week.
Rotemu was twice called on a point of order, one in relation to Public Accounts Committee hearings and the other in reference to alleged seditious activities.
It is the military and military alone which has caused political instability and turmoil in Fiji, and there's no two ways about it, Madam Speaker. There's also widespread agreement that the military should return to the barracks.
It wasn't all in disagreement, though, Rotemu commending the activism of Ratuepeli, calling him the champion of the underdog in his campaign against HIV/AIDS. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Newly elected Sudelpa Vice President Ratukini Viliame Kiliraki is wondering whether President Ratuepeli Nailatikau is alluding that some party members were behind the suspected sedition in the Western Division. Kiliraki made the statement in Parliament while responding to the President's opening address. Ali Kimbia has
Opposition
more.
MP and Sudelpa Vice President Ratukini Viliame Kiliraki questions why President Ratuepeli Nailatikau spoke at length on the issue of sedition and the setting up of alternative states.
Like our fellow honourable members of this august House, I had to wonder whether His Excellency was alluding that some of us were in fact involved in these seditious acts, as he took great pains to more or less lecture us on our roles as leaders and not why the current leadership of government must be supported and any purported removal of this government to be condemned.
Despite Ratu Epeli's comments, Kiliraki says all Fijians should forge ahead with renewed commitment towards democracy and people should stop seditious acts.
Thus, I will join all law-abiding honourable members of this House to agree to the call for the respect of the rule of law and for the denouncing of any instability that will be detrimental to our nation, and especially to our children.
Kiliraki is also calling all members of parliament to be honourable in their conduct and to genuinely reach out for the betterment of all Fijians. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Suva High Court Judge Justice Paul Madigan will now preside over the sedition-related cases called in the Lautoka High Court. Justice Thushara Rajasinghe and Justice Aruna Alathuji were presiding over the cases will no longer hear them. 78 people have been charged with sedition-related offences. Justice Rajasinghe announced the change in the presiding judges during the court appearance of 62 men and women of Ra. Of the 62, 16 are charged with sedition and urging communal antagonism. Justice Thushara has adjourned the case for mention at the Lautoka High Court tomorrow morning to be heard by Justice Madigan. However, Justice Rajasinghe is expected to make a ruling on the bail application of the 16 Nandrunga men and women first. Adopting best practices and fishing methods to ensure one of our largest marine resources is protected for the sustainability of our future generations. This is the core message of the 5th Pacific Islands Tuna Forum, which was officially opened by the Minister for Fisheries, Osea Naingamu, on Denarau Island in Nandi. Mathium Bolaitamana with this report.
The Tuna Conference, co-hosted by Fiji and Papua New Guinea, will focus on a number of key issues, namely,
maybe it is time for a restructure of the whole industry. Maybe we need to reduce the number of distant water fishing nations, vessels that fish in our region, as well as the overall number of fleets. While we acknowledge the need for us to share this resource with the rest of the world, it is important that all Pacific Island states, together with distant water fishing nations, agree to the fundamental principles of adopting and implementing sustainable fishing methods and practices.
On meetings like this to ensure our fish stocks for the future are well sustained. Mathium Bolaitamana, FBC News.
In the news ahead, tax amnesty period ends mid-next month.
FM
Oya wa watisoni dalai.
Bunga yang masih don.
Nama kikirau mena tolu kena bitu. Ena via kami moliti kena porombuka.
Goria na lali ne kami. Bula FM number 2 ena sere.
A hearing to discharge the presidential order confining Apete Kaisao at the St. Giles Hospital is underway in the Suva High Court. Kaisao admitted killing the late director of Fiji Red Cross John Scott and his partner Gregory Scrivener 14 years ago in July 2001, but was convicted on the 2 counts of murder on the grounds of insanity. He is serving his sentence at St. Giles Hospital. During cross-examination, the hospital's medical and superintendent, Dr. Penny Bukoto, said the then health minister granted Kaisao's request to visit his family every weekend in 2004. However, in 2012, the then Minister of Health stopped Kaisao from visiting his family. The hearing continues before Justice Salesi Temo. The Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority is calling on taxpayers to make use of the amnesty program. FIRCA's Chief Executive Officer Chitoko Tikolevu says the amnesty offers taxpayers an exit strategy if they haven't paid their correct taxes over the years. Maggie Boyle reports.
Time to pay the tax man. The Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority is pleading with the public to cough up what's owed under their amnesty program.
We will be assessing taxes from January 2016. So if anything, It's an information getting process. You need to come to us so that we give you the benefit of exempting any tax that is supposed to have been paid in the past.
With less than a month before the tax amnesty ends, Tiko Levu is hopeful the trickling in of people will quadruple.
Some has been questioning us on that it comes to us, then we suddenly raise the assessment. No, we are going to raise assessment fresh from 1st of January 2016, moving forward, not retrospective.
While Tiko Levu will not disclose how much has already been collected, government's decision to extend the deadline from June to October gives you some indication of just how many defaulting taxpayers they may be out there.
I think some have been telling us that, through ignorance perhaps, they thought, a property perhaps should not be declared in Fiji. So they are not also declaring that in New Zealand, they are also not declaring that in Fiji. So, they're benefiting both ways.
The tax amnesty will end on October 15th. The Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority is expected to finalise its records in time for the national budget on November 6th. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
And this afternoon, the Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority said it is investigating some major supermarkets that are using additional cash registers for tempering their sales data. The authority has found that sales from the extra cash registers are not in the company's books of records, and the money is going directly into the pockets of the owners. FERCA Chief Executive Chitoko Tikolevu says this money is unaccounted for and is a classic example of tax evasion and fraud. Some accountants and tax agents are also being investigated for aiding and abetting their clients to evade paying taxes. Police are investigating a report of a staff of the South African High Commission. Police Commissioner Major General Ben Huneval says the First Secretary was attacked when he was returning from dinner last Friday night.
He was assaulted by three unknown people. He sustained injuries. Apparently, he lost his consciousness. He was unconscious. He reported it. I met him with his High Commissioner in the Suba Private Hospital, where he was treated, and again he was then discharged from hospital.
The attack occurred outside the High Commission office on Kimberley Street in Suba. The Corona Uprising Festival of Music, Dance and Lights, held annually in Pacific Harbour, has attracted numerous artists from as far as France and Jamaica. 10 bands and 4 dance groups have confirmed their participation in the upcoming festival. Ellen Stolz reports.
Uprising General Manager James Pridgeon says the event puts Pacific Harbour on the map for both locals and tourists.
It's not just our music festival. There's interest, worldwide interest in Fiji. Our tourism sector is working really hard to get that interest in our country. I think confidence in Fiji tourism has definitely grown over the last couple of years, and we're getting a lot more international interest.
Local bands like Makare, Inside Out, and artists from Jamaica, Canada, France, and Australia and New Zealand are scheduled to perform.
A lot of interest coming through from New Zealand and Australia, and we know we've got a lot of Fijian family that are over there that see these events, see the posts, that know that they want to come back.
The festival will be held in November. Ellen Stolz, FBC News.
Sports now, here's Jamie with the latest.
Thank you, Jackie, and good evening. In sports after the break, John McKee makes 4 changes to Flying Fijians for second World Cup pool match. And Domenico Wanganimburotu has been suspended for 1 week. This and more coming up.
जहां हम आपको और भी सुंदर बनाते हैं और जहां स्वाद की सौगात भी है। नमस्कार, मैं हूं पल्लवी। सोमवार से शुक्रवार 9 से 12 तक रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन पर घर संसार में शामिल रहिए मेरे साथ।
ऐसा सुंदर सपना अपना।
John McKee has made 4 changes to the Vodafone Flying Fijians team to take on Australia in the second Rugby World Cup pool match. The changes are all in the forwards, with Tuapati Talamaitonga, Tivita Dhavumbati, Pedeliato and veteran Netani Tailei coming in to replace Sunia Koto, Apisalome Ratunia Rawa, Domenico Wanganimburotu and Sekiusa Matindingo. The backline remains unchanged from the first pool game against England. And FBC's Indra Singh was at the team naming in Swansea, Wales and filed this report.
The reports and updates of the Rugby World Cup is proudly presented by Vodafone, Power to You, and Airports Fiji Limited, creating new experiences, Fiji's gateway to the world. In association with FMF, the right choice. Total Exilium New Generation, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometre after kilometre. Sun Insurance, for Fijians by Fijians. Supported by Fiji Airways, Deluxe, Island Chill, Comfort Home Furnishing, Rooster Chicken, Legal Aid, Land Transport Authority, and Central Rentals.
Ringing in the changes in the forwards, Fijian coach John McKee says this was always planned due to the short turnaround between the England and Australia match.
Pre-planned in terms of getting a number of fresh players into the lineup, but also keeping the continuity of the core of our team for performance-wise.
While he has kept the same backline from the 35-11 defeat to England, the mentor says there were some discussions about the fly-half position.
In the end, we've gone with the same backline combination. We believe that by keeping the combination, it will help us. It will build from our performance against England.
Robust Clermont back row Pedeliato also come in and has the full faith of his mentor to do the job required.
Yeah, look, I mean, Yato is an exciting young player. I think he's a player on the up and up, we think this game will really suit him.
Goal kicking let the team down in the first match, and whether it would be Ben Volavola or Nemani Nandolo doing the honours this week hasn't been decided as yet.
We'll have a kick today and they'll have a kick tomorrow at Millennium Stadium, and we'll discuss it probably at the captain's run tomorrow.
McKee knows they will be under the pump in a bid to win this match to keep their chances alive of a World Cup quarter-final berth.
Haven't got that first game jitters or anything. The boys are well aware of the pressures around the game.
So it's in the cold of Swansea as the team prepares with 2 days out from that big match against the Wallabies. The former world champions have gone with a very powerful team, Fiji with their best team as well to counter the Wallabies. John McKee, as he mentioned, the short turnaround of 5 days has made him change his team lineup a bit from that England game. But these players he has selected will need to do the job at the Millennium Stadium. Interesting, FBC Sports.
Now, 2 flying Fijian reinforcements for the game on Thursday know very well of the tough battle that lies ahead for them. Netani Tailei, who is featuring in his 3rd World Cup, and Tevita Thavumbati agree that going up against the Wallabies is no easy task, but they're both ready for the Aussie onslaught. Indra Singh has more.
A veteran of 2 World Cups, back row Netani Tailei hasn't lost any of his passion to don the white jumper, and the call-up to face Australia is firing up the big man.
Always privileged and honoured to put that white jersey on no matter what, coming off the bench or you're starting. Everyone's excited about this weekend. I think it's another step up for us.
Tailei, who will start at number 8, has his old mate Akapu Singera in the back row, but has spoken highly of newcomer Pedeliato.
Yeah, it's, the talent like Pedeli, he's. When I first saw him, I look at him as the skill of Semisinavo and the speed and power of Cyril Mbombo together mixed. He brings a lot of power, speed to the game, which is exciting for us.
On the other hand, Tevita Thavumbati is ready to carry on the family name, following in the footsteps of elder brother Bill Thavumbati.
Yes, very very happy family and very supportive. So. Pretty proud to represent Thavumbati out there. Yeah.
He knows the task will not be easy, but after a great 2 weeks where he signed with English club Warrasta, Tex, as he is known, is ready. And both agree they need to make the country proud.
It's great to have the full support of your nation behind you. It makes a big difference for us. We need the same support again this week.
Because Australia is a very good side, very good side. So I think for us. Players, we should need to stand up, but I'm backing the boys, so I think we can match them. Yeah.
It will be exciting to watch 2 players on different ends of the scale in terms of World Cups, but with a common goal, run onto the Millennium Stadium. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, the Wallabies have named 2 open side flankers, Michael Hooper and David Pocock, in the squad to take on Fiji. This is something flying Fijian skipper Akapu Singera says he suspected would happen. However, with the new back row combination of their own, Fiji will try to put a stop to the Australian Lucy's attempts to dominate the match. Indra Singh again.
best in the business will front up with Fiji on Thursday, but the national team is ready.
Australia have named their team and they've put Pocock and Hooper, and we know what Australia will be coming up on that day.
Guerra says the Australians will be fresh and raring to play as they are amongst the last teams to open their World Cup campaign.
With this new trio on Wednesday night, we are looking forward to try and counter that, and we know breakdown is going to be the most important thing for us as a team, because we will try and play a flying Fijian style of game.
However, the skipper is adamant his side wants to go one better from the first match and will put in an effort as such. His Australian counterpart is also wary of the opposition and says the Wallabies must tread carefully.
I think they've played a fair few warm-up games and they've been really impressive, so I would have thought they're coming into the tournament with a fair bit of confidence about how they're playing, and I guess you've probably seen their warm-up games. They're a dangerous team.
So it will be down to this game, which could potentially decide a lot from this pool and of Fiji's chances of progressing further. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Vodafone flying Fijian flanker Domenico Angarimburotu has been suspended for 1 week after appearing before World Rugby's Citing Commission. Following a review of broadcast footage, Wangarimburotu was cited for a dangerous tip tackle on England wing Johnny May in Fiji's 35-11 loss on Saturday. The ruling took into account mitigating factors including his admission and remorse and the absence of aggravating factors. Wangarimburotu is suspended for Fiji's match against Australia on Thursday, but will be available for the third match against Wales. Young back rower Pedeliato will replace Wangarimburotu in the blindside flank. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama today told members of Parliament not to count out the flying Fijians as they prepare for the Wallabies. Bainimarama says the team has learnt a lot from the game against England and will come out firing on Thursday.
There's still plenty of rugby to be played in the UK. You can be sure that none of the other teams in our groupings have stopped worrying about us after one defeat. They know that rugby is in our blood, that we are a nation with more than 80,000 registered rugby players, and we have gone to England to win.
Fiji takes on Australia 3:45 Thursday morning, and you can catch that match and all other remaining Rugby World Cup games live on FBC TV. You can also tune in to live commentaries of Fiji's games on Bula FM and Radio Fiji 1. That's it from sports this evening. It's back to Jackie now.
The Minister for Finance, Ayah Said Qayyum, has clarified media reports that funds totaling $100 million were unaccounted for are incorrect. Said Qayyum said he had received emails about the funds, but he did not respond because he needed clarification about whether he could comment on a matter before the Public Accounts Committee. Said Qayyum says these articles paint a bad image of Fiji not being a transparent country to the outside world, and that journalists as well as media organizations should be more careful when reporting. He says the $100 million being referred to was the average amount allocated to Head 50 over a period of 15 years, and this information was available to the media in the budget last year.
And unfortunately, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee has continued to feed into that rather than saying, look, let's wait for the response from Ministry of Finance. We'll then come to a conclusion where there's been abuse of funds or whether there's $100 million missing or if there's any anomalies. That's precisely what the committee and the chairman should have done, because nobody can arrive at a conclusion without getting all the facts and information first.
Said Qayyum says the Speaker, Dr. Chikolo Veni, today granted him permission to comment on the matter. Cloudy conditions with some showers were experienced over most parts of the group. A trough of low pressure extends southeast from Solomon Islands to Tonga. Another trough remains slow-moving over western Kiribati. Suva recorded the lowest temperature, 25 degrees. Nadi was on 27. Lautoka Bay and Savo recorded 26 degrees. And Lambasa was the highest on 32 degrees. Tomorrow's forecast is cloudy with some showers over most places. And outlook for Thursday is expect much of the same. And the main points again, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says Fijians are fortunate to have President Ratuepeli Nailatikau as a leader. Suva High Court Judge Justice Paul Madigan will now preside over the sedition-related cases, called in the Lautoka High Court, and the Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority is investigating some major supermarkets that are using additional cash registers for tempering their sales data. Now to our poll segment this week, we're asking, is the level of police visibility on the road satisfactory? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Bye for now.